following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello and welcome to Perspectives. My name is David Schoeneman. I'm your host on this program, and I'm the alderman for Ward 3 here in Nashua. On Perspectives, we take a look at a variety of issues that are of importance to Nashua residents, taxpayers, and voters on a state, local, and a national level. We do this because we want you to be informed about a number of things. One, where your tax dollars are being spent. It's very important. Two, we want you to be able to be informed so you can engage in meaningful conversation with your friends and neighbors on these issues as the opportunities arise. And number three, of course, we want you to be informed so that when election time comes, you're able to vote with wisdom. One of the issues that cities like Nashua deal with on an everyday basis is how to appropriately care for the poor and the hungry in the city. The city itself provides some of these services via the welfare department, and of course we'll be discussing the budget for the welfare department and all of the city departments in a few weeks as the Nashua budget comes to the Board of Aldermen. But many of these services are actually provided by local, private, nonprofit charities and organizations that work directly with the people in the neighborhoods. In Ward 3, we have a particular agency or organization that works on French Hill, and that's the Toll Street Mission. Toll Street Mission provides many services to the folks in our area. And with me today to talk about the Toll Street Mission and the work they do are Siobhan Raycroft and Pastor Josephine Norwood. Welcome, Siobhan and Pastor Joe. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having us, Dave.
Well, the first thing I want to say is thank you very much for the service you provide. I think that taxpayers and the city itself really receive a great deal of benefit. Cost-effective services provided to people who need it most, and really administered in a much better, much more friendly way, much more efficient way than the city itself could do it. So thank you to you folks, and of course to all the other agencies and organizations that work in Nashua.
Thank you.
Well, let's start with the history of Toll Street Mission. Please, can you tell us how long Toll Street has been here or where it came from? What first brought you to Nashua, and what were the things that you saw in French Hill that prompted your predecessors perhaps to begin the process of establishing the Toll Street Mission?
I'm going to turn that over to Siobhan for a few seconds or minutes because she was around at that time, and I just came on the scene the last 6 years.
Okay.
Toll Street Mission started in 1988 by the late Reverend Peggy Smith. She was called to Nashua, and in the French Hill area, she noticed that there were a lot of drug activities going on. There were a lot of, families afflicted by drug addiction, and so she saw a need for the children. So she wanted to feed the children. So that's initially how the Toll Street Mission started. She would have the children come before school, on Sundays before church, and prepare meals for them. She would go around and generally just take care of the children and make sure that they're fed and have something to eat. And it kind of progressed from there to providing food for families. And we're here now doing the same thing 28 years later.
Right. And according to vision that Sister Peggy had, she has a vision not only for children, but also which included the children were these different outreaches, which was the food pantry, which is the Christmas activity. They have something at the Boys and Girls Club, something during the Easter time, and also Thanksgiving. And so that was all part of the vision and everything that she wanted to, and she wanted to bring the heart of God to the heart of city. That was her logo. And what better way to show the heart of God by showing love for the people of God. And it was showing that God was really concerned about their welfare and their being, and he loved them enough to not only die on the cross for them, but also for them to know that he cared for them personally as far as food and everything else that was concerned. So it's been an interesting work. I didn't come up to the Toll Street Mission until about 6 years ago. I was asked to come up because Sister Peggy had passed away. She died of cancer. And so there was like a 2-year in between. that nobody knew which way it was going at that point. And so part of my ministry from New Jersey is, a third part of the ministry is to restore churches and ministries with 501c with the IRS and get them built back up with the foundation and to enhance the vision, not change the vision, but to enhance the vision and to grow it to the capacity that God would want it. So when I was called, I was just an advisor, and now I don't know how, but over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, after just becoming an advisor, then I became the overseer, and then I winded up on the board, and now, because Sister Mary passed away, she was 92. She was the pastor that was her and Pastor Murphy were elected after she passed to take over and help. So she passed away last year at 92 years old. So until God brings somebody else, I'm here, to do that. And God has just been blessing. When I took over at that point, we did all that, whatever had to needed to be done. And we only had 150 clients at that time. Now on the register, because you have to keep them for 2 years, according to USDA and the food pantry and everything. And not all of them come all at one time, okay? Because once they get they're temporarily taken care of, and then they're still on the register because of that. But we do about 1,000 clients, means 1,000 families. But on the register, it's 1,900 of them.
See.
So that's a lot of, and some are like 1 in a family, some of them are like 4 or 6 in a family. So we take the middle of the road, and we say like 4 to a family. So we're supposed to give 3 meals a day for 3 days when they come. So that they would have something, that's the food bank is regulations, and we try to do that. So we service them twice a week.
Great. So you're distributing food through the food pantry,
Right.
which is in the back part of the Toll Street Mission
Yes.
building.
Yes.
And that's on the corner of Toll Street and Whitney.
Yes.
Okay, so you're able to distribute food there to the folks. Now, I'm curious, because we have this big drug problem in Nashua and the nation now. I'm sure you've heard about it. I'm sure you're experiencing firsthand on French Hill. What kind of effect did Toll Street Mission have on that drug problem back in the 80s? Did you see an effect? Was there any improvement in that environment?
Well, they say it's, according to somebody else.
I know it's bad now, but
Yeah.
was there any improvement before?
They say it's better now.
Oh, really?
They say if there's not that much. We still have people on drugs. We still have people trying to breaking the law and all that. But for some odd reason, it just seems to be a little bit more quieter, don't you think?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, more quieter in the neighborhood. And I think it's because of the presence of God. And I also think it's because, for us anyway, it's that they know we're there to help. Okay? I wish our budget was higher than it, because sometimes they come in and they need money for medicines and stuff like that. And our board says we can help if we have it, but we don't always have that.
You have a very slim budget, I think, from what I understand.
Very slim. Last year we ran, our budget was only $500,000, I wish it was, $50,000. I'm running it off a little bit, and that's including 3 people's salaries that work part-time.
See.
Okay, and that's not much at all, because we have a rental that we have to store food in, and USDA knows about that too, and we have to have trucks to go pick up the food, and we have other companies helping as far as giving us food, like, if I can mention that,
Sure.
Chipotle, Starbucks, Hannaford's.
Love Farms. I
Love
think, is one of
Farms,
them.
Love Farms also. Who else besides that? Sometimes Panera. Okay, they bring it, and we have people either bring it. Most of the time we have to pick it up. So we have a truck we have to run, and I just have to say, thank God for God, because 80%, or I should say 90%, we work on volunteers. And these people now is sort of settled down to, we have some really good volunteers that they show up and all that. And just like Siobhan's mother, she's been with the mission 15 years now. 15 years. They don't go to the church there. Most of the volunteers go to different people who are retired. Doesn't make a difference what denomination you are. They come and they help. We have people that give us food at Thanksgiving time, even from the the Messianic Lodge, the Moose Lodge, the post office, and
So all this food is donated.
all is donated.
All the food is donated, so you're able to distribute quite a bit of food.
Yes.
Really on a very slim budget of $40,000 or $50,000 a year.
Yes. Last year we did 2015, it was a little bit more than this, but it was 100,000 pounds, which represents 50 tons of food that went through us. And then the year before, because that comes on the paperwork from them, and also, from all the different agencies, and not agencies, different people that are supplying us. And also, they do in a dollar amount. In 2014, it was over $600,000 of food that went through. So that represents about 100,000 pounds. But the interesting part is that God just keeps providing. It's just, I feel like we're a market basket.
Well, it's very interesting because actually you mentioned God's mission or heart for people in the
Right.
beginning, and it reminded me of the story in the Gospels, of course, of Jesus feeding the 5,000.
Right.
And so in some sense, it's like you're feeding the 5,000 because you just said you don't know where it all comes from.
Right?
But here, there always seems to be enough. There's enough money, there's enough food, there's enough volunteers, there's enough space. The space is very limited, but somehow it's able to work.
Right.
And it's practically miraculous.
It is a miracle because if you think about exactly what we do, I mean, 4 days a week, I mean, just thinking on Thanksgiving alone, we give out over 300 full baskets of food.
I was helping you out on that.
That's right. There you go.
There was a lot of turkeys.
Yeah. And that was less than last year the year before, because they didn't have enough at the food bank to give us. The year before, we were able to give out 750. This year, we were only able to get 550, accumulated with some others and everything that brought some, like the Messianic did 15, another church brought in another 15 turkeys. So not only do we do those bags, then we supply other smaller churches or little agencies that have maybe 5 or 10 people, but they don't have the money for the turkey, but they get the canned goods in. So we try to help out all the way around. I mean, just in Christmas, I mean, we work with Toys for Tots. I mean, 279 children. That's a lot of toys.
I was at the Boys and Girls Club with you that day,
And
too.
that's another one on top
There's
of that.
a lot of, on top of that. Okay, so there are a lot of people that are serviced. Are most of the people serviced from French Hill area, or are they from other neighborhoods? Or do these agencies and organizations sort of work in their own neighborhood? How does
Well,
that work?
I think what it is, we're in French Hill, and I don't think there's anybody else in French Hill. And I could be wrong on that, okay? But there are other agencies, which used to be the Upper Room across the street,
Yep.
but now that's Teen Challenge. They do meet on Tuesdays from Hannaford. But then there's Corpus Christi, and I don't know where they're located.
They're on Franklin Street.
Okay, and then also you have the Soup Kitchen, okay, and I think it used to be the Salvation Army. I know they closed their clothing store down, but they do something. And then there's another, some mission organization too, but on the, that service, but we work together as, to make sure nobody double dips, that kind of thing. But I think the amount that we have coming through, it's just an enormous amount of food going out for a small place.
Yes.
It's very, very unbelievable. But like I said, God provides, and everybody they get not only canned goods, but they get bread. They get, Sara Lee bread, Panera bread,
Fresh vegetables. I've
fresh
seen there.
vegetables. I mean, not only do we get it from the food bank, but and then we get it from Lowell Farms twice a week from Lowell Farms. I mean, it's during harvest time. It's just, they get, even to herbs and cabbage, and they get asparagus, and they get peppers, and they get, all kinds of stuff. So when they come in, they're happy. They come in for vegetables and breads and cakes once a month, and they come in for the whole 9 yards with all the canned goods and stuff like that. And our canned goods are, depending what comes in, of course, but it's like spaghetti, it's like instant mashed potatoes, sometimes chili, sometimes soup. They have rice. Let's see what else. Corn, string beans, cranberry sauce, cranberry juice, apple juice, orange juice. Stuff. What we don't get a lot of, wish we would be is the milk. Okay, we don't get that much on that. We do get shelf milk, but not in that capacity. Lately, we've been getting a lot in juice, which is, we thank God for that, because there was the year before that we weren't. So it's whatever is left over, I guess, in who's ever farming, who's ever giving to USDA, whatever's their abundance of, is that what we get in crops.
Do you give a sense that the people that are in need in Nashua are adequately met at this stage by all the various agencies, or do you have a sense of that?
I would say yes and no. Okay. I heard this, so I don't know how true it is. When there was the economic problem, they were being told, keep your house, keep your car, whatever you're getting, because a lot of people lost their jobs. You always can get food, okay? And so, because as long as you have a roof over your head, then you have no problem. You always can get a job. So a lot of people have a problem because some of them still have good cars and stuff, but you need a car to go get another job, okay? But there were some hard times there, and so, give you an example. It was like 2 years ago. We got a call from Concord, from the governor's office, and they sent a man down. He lost. He had wonderful jobs, but when his job failed, then he had to work 2 part-time jobs. Okay, he lost 2 part-time jobs. They let him go the day of Thanksgiving.
Oh.
This you hear of all the time. Sometimes you even see soldiers that have come out and they have no place. We have, I think, called Sin City, which is not too far from where we're at. They actually, people know about it, where people are living in tents outside. So it's not so good. I mean, there's so many people here that have a need. It's just mind-boggling.
Well, there's always a need, and I do firmly believe that agencies and organizations, not that you're an agency, but organizations or churches,
Right.
food pantries like you operate on French Hill are probably much better way to reach people than doing it strictly by government outreach.
Well, the thing is, I tried to, when I took over, they used to leave them outside and stuff, the clients outside, and I said, no, you're human beings. And I said, you've got to look at it. God forbid that was you in that line. You never know what's going to turn up.
We don't. It's by the grace of God that we live the lives
Right.
that we live,
Right. And
whether
so,
they're up or down at the moment.
that's right. And so I think people need to be treated with dignity. I think that people need to be treated with love and respect and laughter and not be looked down upon because that's not their fault.
Right. Now, you don't get help from government agencies for the food donations or for anything else.
Just the USDA.
It's USDA, which is certainly a federal program that
Right.
Food banks across the country can benefit from. But you're applying now for a CDBG grant
Yes.
through the city of Nashua to maybe make that space a little more comfortable for the people that you acknowledge are
Yes.
human beings and need to be treated with some dignity.
Yeah, because when you come off the one space is where we designed to put that there because when we first started, because it was, when you grow faster than you can change, and that's what was happening to us there the first 2 or 3 years. And so what happened is that they come in and they're in a line. So we say, oh, go sit in the church because the church is right there, and so they can give you the information. But sometimes they keep coming through, and then they have to pass by there to go get the food.
It's a very small space. I wish
Right.
we had a
Very
picture
small.
of it here.
Yeah,
I should have thought to
and-
bring one in, but
Yeah, it's very small, and
a couple hundred square feet.
if it's
tiny.
that, very
If
tiny.
that,
Yeah.
and a lot of that is storage space with the
Yes.
shelves with the food
Yeah,
on it and
then the
whatnot,
back,
so-
yeah. But the thing is that we want them to feel welcome. We want them to feel that, they don't have to worry about if they're going to give their name and address. I don't want people to know my name and address, So it's just, it's a process because you have to have the paperwork. You have to do the paperwork.
Sure, there's certain accountability because you're
Definitely.
taking donated
Right,
foodstuffs, and you have to be able to account for that to
Yep.
the agencies that are providing the food. And
right.
so you have to have names, addresses, and make sure there's not,
And we do
make sure
reports.
there's an actual need. You
Yeah.
have to do a means testing of some kind.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
we
correct.
do, we have
There is
that.
an income guideline.
Income guide,
guideline.
yeah, and then they also have, we have to report, there's some paperwork that's
Yes.
been done.
We have
Once
to
a
do
month.
reporting.
Yeah.
USDA, Food Bank, and the other agency, Chipotle and Starbucks, we have to report.
So everything has to be done accurate. So we need people to work and do that, So I would really love to have the people work more hours. And this summer, they cut back their hours so that, because we couldn't meet salaries this summer. And not to the amount that we needed to. And I thank God for our workers. There's only, 3 of you?
Yes.
And so they worked it out so they can maximize and still function properly and get the paperwork done properly. Because the mission when I took over was not on any computer. So that was a nightmare, trying to get that all updated because now everything went to computer. Even the food bank went to computer. So, we didn't have anybody. I mean, it was just, whew. That's all I can say.
Sorry, you have to hit the ground running.
Yeah,
Get all that done.
yeah. I don't know how I landed a couple of times.
So folks come in needing food. Do they sometimes come in with other needs and concerns?
Oh yeah, yeah. They cry, so we try to pray for them, and we believe God with them. They'll tell us their story, and we just sympathize with them. Some will come and they need money for we have one person that can't even afford to buy strips to take her test for sugar.
Mm,
We don't even have the money to say, here's an extra $25.
mm,
I mean, that's heartbreaking.
yes.
And when sometimes you'll have mothers looking for diapers,
Mhm.
or milk for their children. It's really tough, you know.
Once you start getting involved, you realize how great the need is.
Hmm.
And in this world, there is a lot of need.
Yes.
And it's important that we live the best way that we can
Hmm.
and reach out and help people whenever the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah. See, people don't realize too. The Toll Street Mission, we're starting to grow now, but we're only 13 families.
Mm,
It's not a big church,
mhm.
and whatever they give in their tithes and offering, except for what we take out that's needed for to do the paperwork for the IRS and all that kind of stuff, it just goes whatever we have just goes into the back to all the outside functions, and we totally depend on people bringing stuff, monies, the whole 9 yards. We can't do without the people, and I praise
Oh, you
God and
can't.
thank God for our volunteers. Thank God for the donors that we've had consistently over the years, and that consistently saw the vision and what needs to be done. It's interesting. The Lord says, if you feed the poor, you'll always have.
Mm. Yes, that's true. That's
Okay.
true.
And so God knows what's
You
needed,
have enough.
right? And the thing is because God knows we don't take.
Mm.
We don't take the money. We spend every dime and penny that comes in towards what needs to be done, and we have records to prove that too.
Yep.
And so that's being a good steward of the money you have.
We have to be good stewards. And
Yeah.
certainly Toll Street Mission, I think, has been a good steward of the opportunity.
Yes.
You're a small building and a small footprint in French Hill, but you're an anchor there too.
Yep.
And I think that the effect is probably much further reaching than most of us would realize.
We had one lady who was on drugs, and she knew we were going through some hard times, and she said, "You're not closing down, are you?" I said, "No, we're not closing down. You just need to pray and help us out." So a lot of prayer goes up.
Yep.
A lot of prayer goes up for that. I know some of you might not consider that, but I know God hears the prayer and hears the cry of the people.
Yes, he does. And people can help in many ways. I mean, some people have come in and made donations directly of foodstuffs, but anytime someone goes to Chipotle or to Starbucks or to Lull Farms or to anyone or to Market Basket or Hannaford, there's other
Just Hannaford, yeah.
Hannaford, those stores that contribute are able to do so out of the income that they receive from people who are even just buying a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
Which is awesome, which is awesome because really, it is. It's hard to see children starving.
Mm.
Okay, and I have to say, us Americans are really blessed.
Mhm.
When you look at the rest of the country, rest of the third world countries, we're blessed enough that we're able to do that, even though we're all going through some hard times. We all can share a little bit.
We certainly can, and it sounds like that's what people are doing
Yes.
to help out.
Yeah, and that's the key.
Right.
That's the key. It's not about the organization itself. It's not about the soup kitchen. It's not about Corporate Christi. It's about what God wants to do for His people.
Mm.
We're just working under a different title and a different way,
Mhm.
and different mythology. That's fine. And it's about working together to help people. One little bag, and we say, well, why are they going to the soup? Doesn't make a difference. What's one little bag if you got 4 people? And you have to go and you get maybe, say for instance, they were cutting back on food stamps, I heard. So if you got $100 worth of food stamps, hypothetically, and you got to feed 4 people for the whole month, where are you going with $100?
Yeah.
You're going nowhere.
Right.
You got 2 kids that are growing. You're not going anywhere.
So if someone comes to the food pantry at Toll Street Mission, they come out with a bag. They're not just coming out with a ham or something. They're coming out with a bag of food.
A bag of food.
And what's in that bag of food?
There's sometimes there's a chicken, a whole chicken, or a 10-pound bag of chicken. They have pasta or rice. There are canned vegetables, canned fruits, juices, peanut butter, jelly, fresh vegetables. Sometimes there are condiment items, ketchup or mustard, or whatever we get in, we try.
How often can somebody come in?
Twice a month.
Twice a month to your organization,
Right.
and probably twice a month to a different organization,
Right.
or only the one?
I don't know what the others
Yeah.
do.
Okay,
Yeah,
I see.
they come twice a month to us.
Okay,
If they're on their first visit, they'll get a bag of food and a meat item, and they'll get an appointment to come back in 2 weeks to get vegetables, fresh vegetables, bread, sweets.
Yeah, the first time they come, one time a month, they come and get all canned goods, all your canned goods, juices, and whatever. Okay. Sometimes Jackie, when she can pick up, she gives out yogurt, whatever we can get, cheeses and stuff like that, and the meat. Then the second time they come in the month, they get all vegetables and all breads and sweets too, just like they did when they got all the canned goods. Then the next month they come again, in the beginning of the month, and they get a whole new shipment of
I see.
vegetables. I mean, they go out with bagfuls.
Yeah, I've been there and seen it.
Yeah, they go out with bagfuls. I mean, people don't. We had put it out on. Somebody had Facebook. We needed plastic bags because everything we have to buy. The brown bags have to be bought. We used to have a gentleman who used to do it, and then I think he retired, and so that we lost a little bit. But so when you have to buy brown bags, and you have to buy plastic bags, and then you have to buy all the other stuff that you need just to put stuff in, because we do give the vegetables every week. If they come in twice a month, they would get this twice a month. They get cabbage, carrots, potatoes, and onions as a base.
Wow.
Then they have the stuff that's on top of that, which would be apples, oranges, bananas, grapes, would be beans, greens, all kinds of greens, collard greens, mustard greens, Savoy cabbage, a different kind of cabbage. They'll sometimes get what do you call it, bok choy, cucumbers, tomatoes.
So they're getting a well-rounded
Yes.
meal, several well-rounded meals,
Yes.
so to feed their families.
You're right.
I think it's wonderful. Thank you very much. You're not going to believe this, but we're nearly out of time.
Oh, okay.
So we've got just a few seconds left. Is there anything else you wanted to add? Any upcoming events that you want people to know about, or contact information? The contact information is going to be on the screen.
Okay.
But is there anything that
Well,
you'd
we're
like
having
people to know about?
Are we having our Easter Easter service for the children on Saturday, the day before Easter? It starts at 10, ends at 12. Seating is limited because it's at the church, and we basically they get a little gift going home and a box lunch to go home with. Okay, and they're having a play for the children, and then on Friday night, Good Friday, we're having a movie. It's Heaven is Real.
Heaven is real.
Yeah, and that's all free for the people to come.
Great.
And then, of course, our regular Easter service, on Sunday. All are welcome.
We're also giving out the food bags that families signed up for
Already.
next Tuesday and Wednesday.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds great. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
coming in, and thank you for the work that you do again. I really think it's important that regular people and organizations, nonprofits, really do this work in the city. It's much better than if the city government tries to do it itself. So you're doing a wonderful thing, and I know the folks on French Hill, certainly the folks throughout the city, are grateful for the things that you do.
Thank you for having us. and
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And thank you, folks at home, very much for tuning in. We're very glad that you have taken the time to listen to us. My name is David Schoeneman. I'm your host here on Perspectives, and we've been listening to the Toll Street Mission tell their story about the outreach they do on French Hill to meet the needs of the poor and the hungry in the city of Nashua. Thank you very much. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to us at perspectivesnh@gmail.com. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, Board of Directors, or underwriters.